Did you ever imagine yourself wandering around the world's most famous home, opening every door, discovering every corner? Each year, thousands of visitors flock to catch a glimpse of the historic rooms that have hosted presidents and their families for over 2 centuries. But gaining access isn't as easy as knocking on the front door. Luckily, we've got you covered with an exclusive tour inside this iconic residence, the White House. Are you ready? The White House stands as America's most iconic residence, serving as both the official home and office of the President of the United States. Steeped in history, the White House has been the backdrop for countless significant events in American history since John Adams became its first resident. Spread over 18 acres of land, the White House comprises 3 primary sections: the Executive Residence, the East Wing, and the West Wing, which houses the famous Oval Office. The Executive Residence, often simply referred to as the Residence, is the central building and encompasses 3 main floors: the ground floor, the state floor, and the second floor. With a total area of 55,000 square feet spread across 6 floors, it boasts an impressive 132 rooms, including 16 family and guest rooms, along with 35 bathrooms. The residence also features 28 fireplaces, 8 staircases, 3 elevators, 412 doors, and 147 windows. Its fully equipped kitchen can serve a full dinner for up to 140 guests, with hors d'oeuvres for every 1,000 visitors. Interestingly, when the White House is due for a new coat of paint every 4 to 6 years, it takes 570 gallons to cover the exterior. Within its walls lie historic staterooms, private quarters for the first family, numerous offices, and the famed West Wing, where much of the nation's business is conducted, including the Oval Office and the Situation Room. Talking about the West Wing serves as the hub of executive power in the White House, housing the President's office, the Oval Office, and offices for senior staff, accommodating around 50 employees. It's also home to essential rooms like the Cabinet Room, where official meetings occur, and the Situation Room, utilized for crisis coordination. On the other hand, the 2-story East Wing serves as the domain for the First Lady and her dedicated staff, embodying elegance and grace amidst the corridors of power. Beyond its interior, the White House grounds boast various amenities, including an indoor swimming pool, initially installed for Franklin D. Roosevelt, an outdoor pool installed by Gerald R. Ford, a tennis court, a 1-lane bowling alley, a small movie theater, a game room, a jogging track, and a putting green. These facilities provide the President and his family with opportunities for recreation and relaxation amid the demands for their roles. Public tours of the White House offer visitors a glimpse into the historic halls of executive residence, granting access to the ground and state floors. The tour typically begins on the ground floor of the central White House building, accessed through the East Wing, once primarily a basement area housing kitchens and storage until 1902. The ground floor now boasts historically significant rooms open to the public. The East Wing, added to the White House in 1942, provides extra office space and historically housed the offices and the staff of the First Lady and the White House Social Office. Rosalind Carter was the first to establish her office in the East Wing in 1977, officially naming it the Office of the First Lady. During World War II, the East Wing concealed the construction of the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, utilized by the Vice President Richard B. Cheney during the September 11, 2001 attacks. Among the accessible rooms on the ground floor are the library, the China Room, and the Vermeil Room. One of the first rooms visitors encounter on the tour is the library, which was established during President Franklin D. Roosevelt's administration in 1935. Initially serving as a gentleman's waiting room, it was converted into a library and now houses over 2,700 books about American life. This room provides insight into the reading interests and intellectual pursuits of past presidents and their families. Next, visitors step into the China Room, once a cloakroom transformed in 1917 into an exhibition space showcasing White House ceramics, glass, and silver. Featuring china and glassware from nearly every presidential administration, the room also hosts a portrait of First Lady Grace Coolidge and her dog Rob Roy, inspiring the room's red decorations since 1952. The Vermeil Room is the final stop on the ground floor tour, showcasing the White House's collection of vermeil, the gold-plated silver gifted by Margaret Thompson Biddle in 1957. First Lady Mamie Eisenhower introduced the vermeil collection to the room, which also features portraits of prominent First Ladies like Eleanor Roosevelt and Jacqueline Kennedy. Additionally, on the ground floor, visitors can explore the expansive kitchen capable of serving over 1,000 guests, with an adjacent chocolate shop producing delectable desserts. Nearby amenities include a bowling alley, favored by President Nixon, a 42-seat movie theater that screens films requested by the president. The Trump family's first showcase was Pixar's Finding Dory, displayed in this theater. Moving upstairs to the state floor, visitors encounter the East Room, the largest room in the White House, primarily used for large group gatherings. Interestingly, during the White House's early days, President John Adams and First Lady Abigail Adams utilized the unfinished East Room to hang their laundry. The room also had a temporary function during the Civil War, housing Union soldiers until alternative housing arrangements were made in Washington, D.C. Today, the East Room serves as a venue for press conferences, social events, and performances. Exiting the East Room, visitors explore a series of smaller rooms, each named after a color, offering unique insights into White House history and tradition. The first stop on the state floor tour is the Green Room, named for its lush green wallpaper, furniture, and carpeting. This space holds centuries of stories within its walls. Originally intended as a dining room by White House architect James Hoban, it served as a guest bedchamber for President John Adams and First Lady Abigail Adams, after President Thomas Jefferson added his own touch by dining here, perhaps hinting at its future color scheme with a green rug beneath his breakfast table. It wasn't until President James Monroe adorned the room with green silks in 1818 that it officially became known as the Green Room, a name that has endured ever since. Next, visitors enter the Blue Room, the only oval-shaped room on the state floor, characterized by curving French doors and expansive windows offering views of the White House South Lawn. Although initially utilized for reception since Thomas Jefferson's administration, its color scheme has varied. While First Lady Dolly Madison favored red drapery, President Andrew Jackson adorned the room in green. However, in 1837, President Martin Van Buren opted for blue, starting the tradition of the Blue Room. Today, the Blue Room remains a reception area, even hosting unique events such as President Grover Cleveland's wedding to the annual arrival of Santa Claus, whose towering Christmas tree graces the room during the holiday season. The tour then proceeds to the Red Room, the final color-themed parlor on the state floor. Historically serving as a parlor or sitting room, the Red Room acquired its name when President James K. Polk and First Lady Sarah Polk furnished it with various shades of red furniture in 1845. Presently, the Red Room is commonly used to host teas or other intimate gatherings, maintaining its historical significance within the White House's interior spaces. The next stop on the White House tour is the State Dining Room, a space with a rich history of hosting important events. Initially serving various functions such as a drawing room and office, President Thomas Jefferson used it as his private office. However, it eventually became synonymous with grand hospitality and diplomatic state dinners. Over the years, the State Dining Room has undergone several renovations. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt expanded the room to accommodate up to 140 seated guests, and even more for standing events. While earlier presidents dined with their families in different parts of the building, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy established a private family dining room on the second floor in 1962, a tradition continued by most presidential families. Continuing on the tour, visitors then pass through the Cross Hall and Entrance Hall, both integral parts of the state floor. These halls offer glimpses into the adjacent green, blue, and red rooms, adorned with portraits of recent presidents. Notably, the National Portrait Gallery is the only other venue where one can view all presidential portraits. Today, the Cross Hall serves as a grand entrance for various events and special occasions. Upon concluding the tour, visitors exit through the north door into Lafayette Square. While some rooms remain closed to the public, the accessible public rooms on the ground and state floors offer a glimpse into the rich history of the People's House and provide insight into the presidency and the various roles of the White House.